So it recently snowed here in NC, and knowing that the snow will last for only 2 days, I knew I had to build something fast to accommodate the snow. Seeing all the other YouTubers living in the more northern regions of the US getting much more snow and building these really cool air sleds, I thought, why don't I build one of my own? I had some scraps laying around from one of my X-Plane projects, which actually worked really well, but sadly ended up crashing when the battery ran out. So I put the sketch together. I didn't really have many dimensions in mind, or the sizes of the boat, but I did have a vision. The design was really heavily inspired by those high-speed jet boats that race on the waters, and that's basically what it's gonna be. Now I had two options here. I could have used a prop, which would be much quieter, much more efficient, and probably put out more thrust, or I could use an EDF unit, which sounds awesome. And by the thumbnail of this video you probably know what happened. So I set off building. I started with a plain sheet of foam, and then I just cut it to size and I added this thrust tube on it with my EDF unit. I also decided to repurpose the cockpit from the plane that I crashed, and it actually made for a really good cockpit for all the electronics to put in. Then I added this huge air intake. It was like a ring. Then I decided to cut out the pontoons. I just sketched out the shape and I made one of them. Just kidding, I made two of them. Then I covered them both in some duct tape, just so they're more waterproof and durable, and glued them onto the entire structure. As you can see, it's already starting to look pretty good. I covered the entire bottom with tape too, just for an extra measure of waterproofability. Is that even a word? I added this tail rudder, so I can actually be controlling the plane, and it'll be also vectoring the thrust coming from the EDF unit. I also added those fins to the side, hoping for some more directional stability, to hopefully make it track more straight. And overall, the build was complete. The only thing now was to wait until the day comes, so I don't wake up all the neighbors. That thing was pretty loud. So while I was waiting, I gave it some paint job. Very good. So during the test it felt really underpowered. There was definitely not enough power to push this thing through the thick snow that just fell out. Also the snow was pretty sticky, so it would kind of stick to the sleds and make it have much more drag. But it would actually run pretty well on some more compacted snow, or especially ice. So I noticed some really strange noises coming from the ESC. I think it was going into the overcurrent protection, because it takes much more current to push through the snow than through the air, in which EDFs are designed to be in. So I took out and put in a much beefier ESC for 40 amps. 40 amps for such a small model. And then everything burst into life. So the model became much more powerful and ran for much longer without any issues. In fact, it had so much power that it would gain speed to get into the ground effect bubble, which will make the model flip out. So instead of trying to mitigate it, I decided to encourage it. So I added those flaps on the back to kind of make it lift its spot more, so it kind of keeps a stable flight in the ground effect bubble. I also added this flap in the thrust tube to kind of vector the thrust a bit more down, so it doesn't go up as much. And then this happened. Sadly, I don't have any footage of me recovering the thing from the pond. I hope you understand, because I had to recover the thing as quickly as possible so it doesn't soak itself through. So I gave it some power and just brought it to the bank, and it was just fine. Sadly, my rudder did get damaged, so it kinda got all soaked, so I needed to rebuild it again. So I rebuilt the rudder and also covered it with some scotch tape so it doesn't get all soaked, so I don't lose my main control surface. As I said, we don't get a lot of snow here in NC, so everything just started melting already. So the air slide was having a pretty hard time going in the grass, and even the snow was pretty hard to go through. I then readjusted the thrust vector and got a pretty good run. The pond near my house actually froze, so I figured, why not try it on ice? And that's where the fun began. That thing was so much fun to drift around in the ice, until it got stuck. But then I get the hang of it, and I kinda got some really cool drifting. So after freeing it again from the water and a few good runs, this is what happened. I guess the wind picked up and flipped it over. Crap. Luckily, I still had power, so I kinda powered it back to the bank and tried recovering with a stick, because there was much more water on the banks, and if I were to go full throttle, it would probably just go underwater. But hey, happily, I recovered it. This is what the air sled looks like now. As you can see, it's done. Completely done. I'm waiting for everything to dry now, but hey, the thing is done. And so is the snow, really. There's barely any left. So you can say this thing lasted me the entire season. 2 days. All my parts are still fine, everything is still working electronics wise, so I'll be repurposing them. So I'm pretty happy with this project. Now if you like this project and this video, why don't give it a thumbs up, because, you know, I tried that thing. I think it was super fun to make and super fun to drive around. And if you want to see more videos like that, just subscribe to the channel right here. It's free, that'll make me really happy and motivate me to make more videos like this. I also have a lot of really cool stuff planned on the channel, so stay tuned and stick around. Teaser!